The first type of tea bowl popularized in Japan was the Tenmoku Chawan. They were brought to Japan during the Kamakura period. Japanese monks travelled to Tianmu Mountain in Fujian Province, China. The tea bowls were made here at the Jian kilns during the Song dynasty and were being used by Zen monks and Chinese emperors for tea ceremonies. There are many variations in shape and glaze, but some of the most highly valued bowls are the Yuteki and Yohen Tenmoku tea bowls. Tenmoku tea bowls and tea drinking ceremonies became so popular in Japan, production of these teawares started in Japan. Today, the majority of these types of tea bowls are made in Japan. Tenmoku tea bowls rank at the top in Japanese tea utensil prestige, and these bowls are used to present tea to royalty and noblemen. They are often presented on a kinin-dai stand and handled with the utmost of care and respect. Back in the Song dynasty, the tea used produced a white froth, so dark-coloured bowls were said to be best to complement the tea. Now, the tea used produces a vivid green froth, so some believe lighter coloured bowls might complement this better. I plan to make both dark and light coloured bowls, so you can tell me what colour you prefer. There are artists who have dedicated their whole life to producing the perfect Yohen Tenmoku tea bowl. I am not one of them. I am a novice. I am a very curious fan of this very beautiful tea utensil that I use in my tea ceremony practice. So let me show you how I make my own Tenmoku tea bowls. If you have watched my other tea bowl video, where I showed you the process I use to make hand-moulded bowls inspired by Raku Chawans, you will know that I prefer to mould clay by hand. Most Tenmoku tea bowls are thrown and trimmed to perfection on the wheel. I like using the wheel as well, but I prefer the softness a form takes when it is pulled up organically by hand. I find the process more interesting and extremely therapeutic. I also like to make pieces that look like they have grown up out of the surface that they are standing on. I think there is something about pieces moulded to the shape of your hand that are more satisfying to hold. So I will use this process again to make these bowls. The nuances in shape require different skills to that of the Raku style bowl. I start off with a ball of clay that weighs 400 grams. I then open it up with a rolling pin. I push the clay up the rolling pin by slapping the base. I'm feeling how thick the base is, and I make sure not to push the rolling pin through the end. I then slap it down the rolling pin evenly all the way around to create height. I roll the sides flat. Then, using the banding wheel, I start to work the shape. First of all, to prevent cracking along the rim, I use some water and compress with my finger. I then use the rolling pin to compress and smooth the base. Since the Tenmoku Chawan has a narrow base and opens up to a wider mouth, I don't open up the base as I do with the Raku Chawan. I then slowly shape the body by pushing out against my hand for support. I widen the lip of the Chawan as I go by compressing and pulling it out. I can see that the Chawan needs to be narrower and the height needs to be reduced. So I pick it up and compress the base with my hands using a cupping motion. I continue to work the clay in these ways until the shape starts to resemble what I need. I put water on my fingers to pull the clay up and smooth the clay. This motion allows the clay to look as though it has grown up out from the surface it is standing on. Here I am, refining the curve at the top, whilst making sure the rim is level. To make that lovely curve at the rim that fits so nicely onto the lips, I use my nail to push the clay in all the way around. I let the form dry a little so that I can turn it upside down and work on the outside. I carve the base and use a piece of plastic to smooth the curve. I then add the foot using a coil. To fit into a kinindai stand, the foot has to be quite small, at a finished diameter of 4 centimeters or just under. I make sure the foot is securely blended and joined to the body by adding a coil to the inside and the outside of the foot, where it meets the base of the chawan. I find that the curve of my nail is perfect for smoothing and blending these coils. If I can use my hands rather than a tool, I will. compress and smooth the foot with water once joined. My chawan needs to be a finished height of 7 centimeters, so I'm just checking how much to take off the foot. I remove the excess and let the foot dry out a bit before I trim it. In the meantime, I readjust the rim, as it has changed a little from being placed upside down. I let the chawan dry out more before I start to perfect it by carving. I try to get the walls evenly thin, so that the chawan is light and comfortable to hold. By supporting the wall from the outside with my hand, I can feel the thickness of the walls, and I know when not to carve anymore in certain places. I make sure the walls are smoothed after I carve. I carve the foot rim to the shape I want. I want to create a floating effect inspired by this Tenmoku Chawan. And finally, I burnish the parts of the chawan that will be left bare. I use a semi-precious stone. My first tea bowl is called Iwashi Mizu, or Rocky Stream. I used a combination of 2 glazes, oil spot Tenmoku and a luster glaze, to create river-like marks and drips. I think you can see a varied terrain with shining rivers flowing through the landscape. This bowl I called Sawarabi, or early fern. Once again, I used a combination of 2 glazes, a matte white and a green fluid glaze that have mixed together to give soft striations of green. I concentrated the green toward the lip of the bowl, and I think here you can see the soft fern-like fronds emerging. This one is called Hoshizuki-o, or Starry Night. The luster glaze, combined with the white grog suspended, make the stars in the sky. The oil slick like smoky colours within the black look like the aurora borealis. Lastly, I called this one Shirakaba, or birch. I allowed textures to form when I was shaping the bowl. I wanted to see one with the glaze flowing into the textures, inspired by the traditional hare's fur glaze. The texture reminded me of birch bark. This glaze forms pebble-like colour variations in the kiln. So let me know which one you like. And also, do you prefer dark glazes or light glazes with the green tea?